Good morning everyone, I am T. Dubey. The title that you can see on the screen, Objective English Easy to Hearts, Part 1, is the name of my newly published books. It is in two parts. Both the books are available on Amazon. In these two books, I have written some unique research methods. With the help of these research techniques, you can not only solve most of the questions that are asked in the English question paper at school level and in the competitive examinations such as SSC, CGL, PO and any other competitive examinations, but to a great extent you can very well guess most of the questions. In my classes, I am showing you how you should apply those tricks and techniques that are written in this part 1 and part 2 books. This is my 8th lecture on Objective English Easy to Hearts part 1. In the last class, I was discussing the concept part of question tag, and in this class I will be showing you how to apply surefire shortcut trick number 3 that is discussed in the previous class. So I would advise you to watch all the lectures already given before attending this particular lecture. Now let us begin analysis of practice sets based on question tags. Now let us do the analysis of practice set number 9 and learn how to apply surefire shortcut trick 3. Look at the first question and try to recall that first of all you have to find out the verb aspect. So let us read the first question. They had a car, hadn't they? Now the verb aspect of had is to be found out. Can you tell me what is the tense of this verb? It is in the simple past tense. Do not get confused that it is in the past perfect tense, because in the past perfect tense we use had plus past participle form of the verb. Here it is only had, so it is in the simple past tense. So here you can see this question tag is wrong. It should be didn't they. Now look at question number 2. She is joking now, isn't it? This is the verb, and as you can see, the verb is in the present continuous tense. So this question tag should also be in the present continuous tense, but it is not, because here the subject is she and here it is it. So it should be isn't she. Now let us move to question number 3. This question says, let's go out tonight and dine at a restaurant, shall we? So you can see this verb is beginning the sentence and the given statement is an imperative sentence. In the previous class I have discussed that if statement is an imperative sentence which is positive, then the question tag can be either positive or negative. So here it is positive, it means the sentence does not contain any problem, it is correct, so it should be no error. Now let us move on to question number 4. She owns a car, does she? Now what is the verb aspect? Here owns is in simple present tense, fine. Here question tag is also in the simple present tense, but is it correct? Answer is no, because this statement is positive. So in the previous class I have discussed that if the statement is positive, the question tag should be negative, and if the statement is negative, the question tag is positive. So here in place of does she, it should be doesn't she. Moving on to question number 5. She could still recall that first meeting clearly. Can she? Now remember the first step, you have to find out the verb aspect. Here you can see this is the verb, and this verb part is containing a modal verb, could. And here the question tag has been formed by using another modal verb. So in the previous class we have studied that if the main statement contains a modal verb, its question tag will be framed or formed by using the same modal verb. It means here can't is wrong. In place of can't, it should be couldn't. Couldn't you? Because the question tag should be formed by using the same modal verb which is given in the main statement. Now moving on to question number 6. Some Indian doctors with their families have settled in America, don't they? Now this is the question tag, and here so far as the verb aspect is concerned, it is in the present perfect tense. Remember the surefire shortcut trick 3. The question tag of a statement should be in the same aspect. It means in place of don't they, it should be haven't they. Haven't they. Now moving on to question number 7. You should not lost your temper like that. Should you? Now let us consider the given statement. You should not lost. So if you see here, the main verb itself is wrong. Why? Because the modal verb is not followed by a past participle form of the verb. It is followed by a verb in the basic form. So in place of lost, it should be lose. Now moving on to question number 8. Question number 8 says, everyone knows this trick, doesn't he? Now the main statement is this, and the given verb is in the simple present tense, and we know it very well that the question tag is formed by using the auxiliary verb of that particular aspect. So here the question tag has been formed by using does. Is it correct? No. Again we have to see the subject. In our previous class we have studied that if a statement begins with an indefinite pronoun like everybody, everyone, somebody, someone, then the pronoun of that question tag should be they, not he. So here he should be replaced with they, and this doesn't should be replaced with don't. So the correct answer should be everyone knows this trick, don't they? So replace doesn't he with don't they. Moving on to question number 9. His worries now receded from his mind, didn't it? Now let us understand it. What is the aspect of the verb? The aspect of the verb is simple past tense. Receded is in the simple past tense, as you can see. Recede, receded, receded. Now the question tag should also be in the same aspect. Didn't is okay, because didn't is used for the simple past tense. But is it correct? No. This question tag is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because the subject of the verb is worries, which is plural. So here subject should be they. So in place of it should be they. Moving on to the last question. Now look at question number 10. It reads, we shall not have to keep detailed records now, shan't we? Now let us find out the aspect of the verb. So here you have the tense. So it is in simple future tense. Now we know that in simple future tense we have shall, right? So we should not, but here you can see the main part is negative, and you know it very well that if the main statement is negative, the question tag should be positive, and if the main statement is positive, then the question tag should be negative. So here question tag is wrong. It should be positive. So in place of shan't we, it should be shall we, because the main statement is negative. Thus you can understand that by keeping surefire shortcut trick number 3, you can analyze most of the questions based on this chapter. And not only that, if you keep these steps in mind, then you can easily solve most of the questions given in the next practice set. So let us move on to the next practice set. Now let us do practice set number 10. And as you can see, the difficulty level of this practice set is a little higher. It is moderate. Right. But if you have understood surefire shortcut trick number 3 and the previous analysis, it will be easy for you to solve most of the questions given over here. Let us begin. Question number 1. He is a famous doctor of the city, isn't it? So, first of all, let us find out the aspect of this verb. He is a famous doctor of the city, isn't it? So, the given verb is in the simple present tense. And here the question tag is also formed with is. But if you see the subject and if you see the subject here, so this question tag is wrong. In place of it, it should be isn't he. Move to question number 2. The second question asks you, we would never have known the whole truth, wouldn't we? Now let us understand the aspect. It contains modal verb, would, and in the previous class, that means in the conceptual class, I have explained that if a main statement contains a modal verb, the same modal verb should be used in the question tag as well. So here you can see the same modal verb has been used, but the question tag is negative. In the previous class, we have discussed that if the main statement contains a negative word, means a word of negative meaning, then the tag must be positive. So here tag wouldn't we is wrong. In place of wouldn't we, it should be would we, because the main statement contains a word with a negative meaning. Moving on to question number 3. He had met her before his marriage, didn't he? So it should be easy for you to understand because the given verb in the main statement is in the past perfect tense. And so far as the question tag is concerned, it is in the simple past tense. So in place of didn't he, it should be hadn't he. Moving on to question number 4. You don't recognize me after this long time, do you? You don't recognize me. You don't recognize me after this time. So what is the tense of the verb aspect? Don't recognize is the negative form of the simple present tense. And the question tag is also simple present tense and it is positive. That means there is no problem in this question. Moving on to question number 5. Nobody knows where they are, does he? Again, the given verb knows is in the simple present tense and the tag has also been formed using does. But is it correct? Answer is no. The tag is not correct because the subject of the main statement is a negative pronoun, nobody. Therefore, it should be positive. So, nobody knows where they are, does he? So, it should be do they, because we have studied in the previous class that if the main statement begins with an indefinite pronoun such as nobody, somebody, everybody, then the subject of the tag should be they, not he. Now let us move to question number 6 and do it. They have gone away for a few days, have they? They have gone away for a few days. So here have gone is in the present perfect tense. And the question tag has also been formed by using the auxiliary verb of the present perfect tense. But the tag is not negative. And we have studied in the previous class that if the main statement is negative, then the tag is positive. And if the main statement is positive, then the tag should be negative. So here the main statement is positive, as you can see. Therefore the tag, that means the question tag, should be in the negative. So it should be haven't they? Now moving on to question number 7. You think you are good at mathematics, don't you? You think that you are good at mathematics, don't you? So here the given form is in the simple present tense and the main statement is also positive. That means my tag should also be in the simple present tense. It is, and it is negative also. So it does not contain any problem. The statement is 100% correct. Moving on to question number 8. You haven't met Joe. Has he? You haven't met Joe. Has he? So here the tag has been formed by using the auxiliary verb has, but as you can see the main statement is negative and the subject of the main statement is you, not he. So the tag is wrong. In place of has he, it should be have you. You haven't met Joe. Have you? So the tag should be have you. Moving on to question number 9. Question number 9 reads, nothing will happen to our car, won't it? Nothing will happen to our car, won't it? So here the question tag is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because the subject of the main statement nothing is a negative word. So it should be will it. The tag should be positive. So in the previous class we have studied that if the main statement is positive, then the tag should be negative, and if the main statement is negative, the tag should be positive. Moving on to question number 10. You won't tell this to anyone, will you? So here the main statement, you won't tell this to anyone, is the negative form of simple future tense. So the tag should be positive, of course it is. So will is correct and subject is you, it is also correct. That means there is no problem. It should be D. So in this way, it proves that if you keep 3 things in mind, aspect, then the tag and the statement, whether given statement is negative or positive, you can solve most of the questions based on this chapter, and after some practice you can very well predict how questions are framed based on this chapter. Now let us analyze another set which will be more difficult in comparison to the ones that we have already done. So let us move to the next set. Now let us do practice set number 11, and as you can see the difficulty level of this practice set is difficult. It means it is more difficult in comparison to the ones that we have already done, practice set number 9 and 10. But if you keep surefire shortcut trick number 3 in your mind and you have mastered the steps, then it will not be easy, it will not be difficult for you to solve these questions. Have a look at the first question, and I would advise you to pause the video, do the questions on your own, and then watch the explanation. So here we go. Question number 1. Everyone has some ideas about the best way to bring up children, doesn't he? So here the verb aspect of this statement is simple present. Do not get confused again that has is in present perfect tense. No, it is in the simple present tense, because present perfect is formed by using has have plus past participle form of the verb, and you can see here some ideas is a noun, so it is working as the object of the verb. Hence this has is in the simple present tense. It means the question tag will also be formed by using the auxiliary verb of the simple present tense. It has been formed, but you can see the subject of the main statement is an indefinite pronoun, everybody, and in the previous class we have studied that if the subject of the main statement is an indefinite pronoun such as everyone, everybody, someone, somebody, then the subject is they, not he. So in place of doesn't he, it should be don't they. Let us move on to question number 2. Seldom do we receive any apology when mistakes are made, don't we? Now, this verb, do we receive, is in the simple present tense. Seldom do we receive. Here the verb has been inverted. Inverted means it has been kept before the subject. Now, let us look at the question tag, don't we? So the question tag has also been formed by using do, and then we have the subject we. But is the question tag correct? Answer is no, it is not correct. Now the question is, why is it not correct? Because the main statement contains a negative word, negative adverb, seldom. Therefore, in place of don't we, it should be do we. Now let us move on to question number 3. Hardly had a moment passed when the door creaked open. Had it. So here the verb is in the past perfect tense. Hardly had a moment passed when the door creaked open. Had it. Now there is a negative word, hardly. Hardly. And we know that if the main statement begins or contains a word with negative meaning, then the question tag should be positive. So here, had it is correct. So the statement does not have any problem, so there should be no error. Moving on to question number 4. She went to the shop to get some oranges, but they had none. Hadn't they? So here, the question tag is negative, as you can see, and the main statement is also negative. So here in place of hadn't they, it should be had they. Now let us move on to question number 5. Look at question number 5. Wearing seat belts has saved many drivers from meeting with sudden death, isn't it? So far as the question tag is concerned, you can see it is negative, and the main statement of this question, wearing seat belt, has save. So here has and save is the verb aspect, and you can see this verb aspect is incorrectly formed. That means it is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because has is followed by a verb in the past participle. So here in place of save, it should be saved. So there is one mistake here in part B. And if you look carefully at the question tag, this is also wrong. Can you tell me how? Now let me explain. Because the main statement contains a verb in the present perfect tense, therefore the question tag should also be in the present perfect tense itself. So in place of isn't it, it should be hasn't it. So question number 5 contains 2 mistakes. Save and isn't it should be hasn't it. Now there arises a question. If a sentence contains 2 errors, in that case, what should you do? You should go with the first error. That means in place of save, it should be saved, and ignore the second error. Moving on to the second question, means next question, that is question number 6. So in question number 6, the bridge was begun 5 years ago and the estimated cost has already doubled, hasn't it? Now you see, this verb has 2 aspects. Was begun is the passive form of simple past tense. Was begun. So the bridge was begun 5 years ago and the estimated cost has already doubled, hasn't it? So this is also correct. Has already doubled is also correct, and because the question tag has been formed by using this present perfect, so it is also correct. That means sentence does not have any problem. There is no error. Move on to question number 7. Neither one of us are particularly interested in gardening, are we? Now what is happening here? The question tag is okay because the main verb are is actually plural and subject is neither. So we know it very well that if the subject of the main statement is an indefinite pronoun like everybody, everyone, somebody, someone, or nobody, no one, then we use plural pronoun. So here use of are is also correct and we is also correct. But is there any problem in the statement? Answer is yes. Now look closely, carefully, and then you will find the problem. Here are is wrong. Why is it wrong? It is wrong because neither is followed by a verb in the singular number. You have studied, I have explained in the subject and verb agreement chapter that subjects like neither of, either of, each of, one of is always singular and is therefore followed by a singular verb. Moving on to question number 8. You haven't seen one iota of evidence to support his claim, haven't you? You haven't seen one iota of evidence to support his claim, haven't you? Right. So here the given verb is in present perfect tense. You haven't seen one iota of evidence to support his claim. And the question tag has also been formed by using the auxiliary verb have. Now the problem is in the negative positive. As you can see, the main statement is negative. And in previous classes, I have already explained that if the main statement is negative, the question tag should be positive. So in place of haven't you, it should be have you. You haven't seen one iota of evidence to support his claim, have you? Now moving on to question number 9. There is an inbuilt tendency to variation during reproduction, aren't there? There is an inbuilt tendency to variation during reproduction, aren't there? Now, the question tag is aren't there and the main statement is beginning with there. In our conceptual class, that means in previous class, I have already explained that if the main statement begins with there is or there are, the tag ends with there itself. But here the problem is plural and singular. Here verb is singular and here it is plural. So the question tag is wrong. In place of aren't there, it should be isn't there. Now let us move to question number 10. Imagine you are being offered a plum post without taking an exam. Will you? Imagine you are being offered a plum post without taking an exam. Will you? So here the speaker is asking the listener to imagine, and therefore this statement is imperative and it is positive. So we have studied earlier that if an imperative sentence is positive, the question tag can be either positive or negative. It means this statement and the question tag both are correct. Therefore, the sentence does not have any problem. So in place of finding any problem, the answer should be no error. Hope it is helping you. Now we are moving on to the next practice set, that is high order thinking skill questions. And before you move on to that part, I would advise you to revise all these 3 practice sets so that you can easily do that high order thinking skill questions without any problem. So let us move to the next practice set. Now let us do practice set number 12. And as you can see, the difficulty level of this set is very high because these questions are high order thinking skills questions. So we need to be a little careful while solving these questions. Have a look at the first question. It reads, You were determined not to let him talk you down. Were you? C. No, ready. Now, according to the surefire shortcut trick, we have to find out the verb aspect, which is were. And this were is in the simple past tense. Accordingly, the question tag should also be found by applying the simple past tense. Okay, it has been found. But it is positive, and here also it is positive. Now, if we look at this part of the sentence, not to let you talk him down, then we will feel that this main statement is negative, and therefore the question tag part is also positive, and therefore it is correct. But it is not so. Here question tag part is wrong. In place of were you, it should be weren't you. Now the question is why? Answer to this question is, the question tag has been formed for this part, this verb part, were, which is positive, and this not is the infinitive part. Therefore, this not will not be valid here. Hence, in place of were you, it should be weren't you. I hope you are understanding this explanation. Now moving on to question number 2. It reads, don't forget to warm up and stretch properly before beginning any athletic activity. Won't you? So I think you must have understood this part is wrong. Want you is wrong. Why? Because the given statement, don't forget, is an imperative sentence which is negative, and we have understood, we have read it, that if an imperative sentence is negative, its tag must be positive. So in place of want you, it should be will you. Moving on to question number 3. Question number 3 reads, drink 1 glass of water 30 minutes before your usual cup of tea. Will you? So here question tag is the positive, and it is in simple future. Is it correct? Answer is yes. The statement that you can see, drink 1 glass of water 30 minutes before your usual cup of tea, is an imperative sentence which is in the positive. And in our conceptual class, means in my conceptual class, I have explained that if an imperative sentence is in the positive, the tag can be, that means the question tag can remain either in the positive or in the negative. Hence it is correct, there is no problem. It means there should be no error. Moving on to question number 4. Question number 4 reads, we hesitated to act because we were frightened by his threats, hadn't we? So here the question tag is in the past perfect tense, and this part is in the simple past tense, Therefore, this hadn't we is wrong. In place of hadn't we, it should be didn't we, because the question tag is formed by using the auxiliary verb of the same tense, and here the tense is the simple past. Moving on to question number 5. Some Indians have settled into the Western way of life over the years, haven't they? Now, let us analyze the main part. Some Indians have settled. So, if you look at this part that I am encircling, you can quickly find out the problem. This have settled is wrong, because this verb is in the present perfect tense, and the present perfect tense is formed by using has, have and the past participle form of the verb. So here settle word is wrong. In place of settle, it should be settled. Now look at question number 6. It reads, the committee will explore different ways of reducing costs. Won't they? So first of all, find out the verb aspect, which you can see is in the simple future tense. and it is positive. According to this, the question tag should be in the simple future. It is, and it is positive as well. But if you look carefully, then you will find there is a problem in the question tag part. Here the subject of the main verb is the committee, which is a non-living thing. So in place of they, it should be singular it. So in place of want they, it should be want it. Now let us move to question number 7. Now look at question number 7. Children always were far too impatient to receive their presents, isn't it? Now let us apply our step. So the given verb were is in the simple past tense, and here the tag has been formed by using verb of the simple present. So the tag part is wrong. Now the question is, what should we write? So in place of isn't it, it should be weren't they, because were is in the simple past and children is its subject, which is plural. Now let us move on to question number 8. Look at question number 8. Nobody thinks that idea worth fighting a war over. Does anyone? So here the given verb is in the simple present tense. The question tag has been formed by using the simple present tense. So you can consider it to be correct, but it is not, because the subject of the main statement is a negative pronoun, nobody. And in my conceptual class I have already explained that if the subject of the main statement is a negative pronoun, or even if it can be positive also, so the tag subject should be plural. So in place of anyone, it should be they. So nobody thinks that idea worth fighting a war over. Do they? So in place of does anyone, it should be do they. Now moving on to question number 9. Everyone is saying now that an insurer is not a crook, fraud or a simpleton, aren't they? So here verb is in the present continuous. Here it's okay, and the subject of the main statement is an indefinite pronoun everyone. And we have just studied that if the subject of the main statement is an indefinite pronoun like everyone, everybody or someone, somebody, then the subject of the tag should be they. It is. Therefore, there is no problem in question number 9. It should be D. Moving on to question number 10. Please send us the necessary paperwork required to process your loan. Can't you? Now, here you can see the main statement is an imperative sentence, and the tag is formed by using a modal verb. We have already studied that if the main statement is an imperative sentence which is positive, the tag should be either positive or negative, but by using will or shall. So in place of can't you, it should be will you, or it can also be won't you. So the correct answer will be, please send us the necessary paperwork required to process your loan. Will you or won't you? So this is all about the practice sets given on question tag, and I think by this time you must have understood that if you know the concept and the surefire shortcut trick that is given in these books, you can guess most of the questions asked in competitive examinations. After this chapter, we are going to analyze some questions based on active and passive voice. Right, because the detail of active passive voice will be discussed later on. But I will show you how to apply surefire shortcut trick number 4 to solve common errors based on active and passive voice. So let us begin that chapter.